Hello and welcome to Order of Operations. This is Chapter 3, Lesson 9 from the Nelson Math Focus textbook. I'm Mr. Burko, you're listening to my Mathcast, and let's get started. Our goal today is to apply the rules for order of operations with whole numbers. This unit has a lot of different number relationship type of lessons, and this last lesson is going to be a little bit different than the other lessons in that it is going to talk about a concept that you probably haven't learned before, order of operations. Now, the order of operations is a technique for making complex calculations if there's a mixture of different operations, in other words, subtraction, addition, division, and multiplication. The thing is, if you change the order of all of those operations, you can get a really different answer depending on which order you do it in. So what mathematicians have done is they've created a way, an order, to do these so that you always get a consistent answer. So let's look at an example. Ola is a character in our book. He's on page 98, and he has discovered a formula for calculating the minimum training heart rate. Your minimum training heart rate is the minimum heart rate that you have to have in order to have a successful workout. Now, you can't just reach the minimum training heart rate. Apparently, you have to have that minimum training heart rate for about 30 minutes, and then that's how you know you had a really good exercise. If you want to know more about that, I'd suggest that you talk to your gym teacher because I'm sure she can tell you all about it. So Ola discovered that the formula for calculating your minimum training heart rate is 220 minus your age plus your resting heart rate, and then all of that divided by 2. And I say all of that because this section is all in brackets. So what that means is it has to be calculated first, and then you divide it by 2. Just in case you're wondering what the resting heart rate is, the resting heart rate is your heart rate right when you wake up in the morning. I know this is starting to sound like a phys ed class, but really we're going to do some math today. Let's move on. So here is Ola's calculations. He's 12 years old, and he calculated his resting heart rate in the morning as 72. So 220 minus 12 plus 72, and all of that in the brackets divided by 2. So he's going to start by doing 220 minus 12, which becomes 208. Take away 72, and then he's going to divide that by 2. Let's break it down again. So this calculation turns into 280, and then divide that by 2. He ends up with 140. So 140 beats per minute is his minimum training heart rate. Question A says, well, how would Ola's answer change if he ignored the brackets in the formula? So let's assume that Ola ignored the brackets, but he still followed the order of operations in that he divided 72 by 2 on the right side here. And so what would happen? So we bring it down one level. 72 divided by 2 is 36. We bring down 220 and 12. And then we have 208 plus 36 because we took 12 away from 220. And then you add that together and it becomes 244. So very different than his last answer, which was 140. And that just shows you how important it is to follow the correct order of operations. So here's what they are. In order to make sure that you're calculating a large calculation the correct way, you need to start with the brackets. Anything that's in brackets needs to be done first. Second, you're going to complete the division and multiplication from left to right. So if you only have division or if you only have multiplication, that's pretty simple, but you do all that division and multiplication, whatever you got, from left to right. And then finally you're going to do addition and subtraction from left to right. So they put these on the same level because you're going to do them all together, and the addition and subtraction all together. So those are the 3 steps you need to remember. It's pretty important for your future math classes, but for today it's just going to occupy one lesson, of course. Alright, I'd like you to calculate your minimum training heart rate. You might need some help figuring out what your resting heart rate is, but if you do calculate it, come and let me know. I'd be interested to find out what you got. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you in class.